Hello and welcome to ICANN Media. I'm your host, Rob Hislop. We are coming to you from Calgary at the Oil and Gas Awards Industry Summit. The final session here had to deal with corporate social responsibility. One of the panel members joins us now. His name is Thomas Miller, and Thomas, you're with Breitling Energy.
That's correct.
So, corporate social responsibility, what does that mean to you?
I got to apologize for my voice, too. I've been hollering for the Oilers, so it's like...
You know they're not playing now.
Well, but I've been hollering for them, and that's why I've got this voice.
Fair enough. Well, we do have the draft coming up, and we're expecting to get number one, so there'll be plenty of opportunity to cheer.
Because we're in Calgary, right? So
yes.
I just get that out there.
Because nobody cheers for the Flames. But anyway, totally different story. What does corporate social responsibility mean to you?
Well, for us in Dallas, Texas, as a little small independent oil and gas producing company, we have a CEO who has a very high media profile. His name is Chris Faulkner, and he's appeared on all the major television outlets, the business channels, CNBC, CNN, Fox Business, lots of major publications, and we're trying to get a message out to inform the public that fracking is okay. There's so much information that's very effectively communicated by the environmentalist side. It's very one-sided. It is a single perspective that fracking is bad and wrong, and we have to keep fossil fuels in the ground. That's just not practical in our modern world. So what we've tried to do is just offset that message with the truth, with the facts. That's why we shoot video. We take pictures of fracking operations, make little documentary movies about what it really is. Because once people understand that it's not the big boogeyman that it's been made out to be, but they don't know that. They can't touch it and feel it. So that's what we're about with our message.
Well, it's interesting because you say it's a one-sided message that comes out, but your message is also very one-sided. And I've heard that here as well, where people are saying fracking is okay. It's not a bad thing. Are both sides a little bit too firm on their stance without trying to find a middle ground? Because can you guarantee there is absolutely nothing wrong with fracking? There's no earthquakes that come as a result of it. It doesn't impact water. Can you say that with 100% certainty?
Well, I'll tell you where we've adopted our message, because there are variables in anything. And we've been very clear about that. So if somebody is irresponsible and they get a permit somehow to frack across a fault line, and they don't have multiple geologists check that permit, then you're going to have a problem. And that showed up in Arkansas, and it showed up in Ohio. We're proven cases. This situation in Texas, in our backyard, Azle, Texas, where disposal wells, so once the water comes back up out of the well, it has to go somewhere. They put it back in the ground. Those are injection wells. There was an injection well that was sitting on top of a fault, and it was causing earthquakes in the city of Azle, Texas. They isolated that well, they capped it, no more water injections, earthquakes stopped overnight. And we're very vocal about saying, we're only as good as the worst operator in the business. And there are operators out there, unfortunately, who don't play by the rules, and they push the margins. And that's one corporate social responsible message that we're trying to have is, come on, industry, let's all do this together so everybody wins. You don't have to push the envelope. There's enough here for everybody, and if we all do it well, and if we all play by the rules, and we all tell everybody what we're doing, but no, I'm not for a minute saying that there are no problems with this, and I think that's one thing that's been uniquely different with our message, is that we will say there can be problems, there can be spills, there can be earthquakes, there can be issues, if it's not done right. If it's done right, then it works, and it's worked for over 1.5 million times in the United States and worldwide since 1947. I mean, it's a technology that works.
This is the thing, is I recognize that it's not a new technology. You, though, a relatively new company, 18 months old, you come into an industry with a bit of a tarnished reputation. How do you set yourself apart and show people that you are going to be responsible, that you are going to respect the land and the people that live around it?
Boy, that's a good question, because it goes back to what we were talking at the conference here today, is what right do you have to stand on the platform? And with all of the wells, now we're 18 months old as a public company under Breitling Energy Corporation. It's spun off of a private company that had been in business for 10 years. So over those 10 years, our management team has been involved in hundreds of wells, that we're all fracked. And through those 10 years, and for the year and a half that we've been doing this as a public company, we've not had one incident. We are extremely careful with the crews that we hire, the protocols that we put in place. And another thing that we don't do is we don't go up into these neighborhood communities. We're not involved in well operations inside of a city limits, for example. Our main operations are in the Permian Basin in Texas. The only thing we have to worry about out there are cows and rattlesnakes. And that's the kind of area that we prefer because we're not going to upset a community. The truck traffic is very routine in that part of the state. So it's things like that that we've done to make sure that we have the platform, that we're able to stand up and give this message and have the track record to back it up.
I can't remember. I think it was you. One of you said that it doesn't matter where you set up shop. There is likely going to be a group monitoring everything you do, just waiting for a mistake to happen. Was that you that made that comment?
It was.
Elaborate on that for us.
Well, it's like what we're doing right here. This is a web-based interview, right? If anything happens in this industry, not only is social media, the social media connection, the web, I say that not the World Wide Web, but the web of environmentalists is a very tight network, and it's global. So if you spill something, break something, penetrate something, if you cause any kind of problem in any part of the process, upstream, midstream, downstream, in oil and gas, it's going to be permeated in that network instantly. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they'll have pictures of it, and it will be magnified in this environment. So we're in a different era.
Well, and if I can interrupt, it's going to be spread by people who don't likely know anything about the oil industry as well.
Don't know about it, and don't like it. So they're going to take, that's the point, is the oil and gas industry. If we mess up just once, we're an instant punching bag. So they are immediately in our face with the problem. And that's why we have to be more careful, and that's why we have to communicate the message on the other side. And it's why these operators have to definitely operate within the parameters of best practices, always.
Thomas, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We've been chatting with Thomas Miller here on ICANN Media.